I get to do something that is momentous here, and that is honoring a legend that's going into his final season with us. Now, it's Bill Baker, just to let you know that, but let me just dote on him a little bit. He is our voice, our legend, somebody that welcomed me in a decade ago and just brings chills to all the listeners, all the viewers that had the opportunity to listen to him. He means so much more than just being the voice of the Huskies. His commitment, this is his 44th year, okay? 44th year. And it's been magical, his ride. Over his time, 507 football games, 287 consecutive. He only missed one game to cover an NIU basketball tournament. Is that right? One game missed because of the NIU basketball tournament? Goodness, Bill. Just God bless you. Just fantastic. And I promise I get through this. He means so much to our community, our history, our tradition, his self-sacrifice with his family, his travel with basketball through the Midwest coldest night to cover games. I was kidding with him, eating a lunch, talking about the Bill Baker Chronicles. I'm going to take him up on that now that we can kind of talk a little bit off shop on some of the things in his experiences. He's a walking history lesson about all things committed to NIU athletics, and I appreciate that. He loves the Huskies. He's passionate about it. The things that he's been able to do and say and talk, specifically, Goodbye Toledo is my favorite. I'll just say that because the passion that he's bringing to the table, both audio and video, has been fantastic. We're going to be honoring him throughout the course of the year, talking about his stories, the Bill Baker-isms that will come up, and we'll talk a little bit further about what that means and how it was done, and he'll give historical context behind that, so I'm really excited about that. We'll also have some chances during the course of this year to reflect on how lucky we were to have Bill with that level of tenure. You don't see that everywhere. I know that from coming from different places, and to have that level of commitment, that respect, that attention to detail. I can go on and on and on. Do a lot of prep work with Bill and watching him in different various events and things of that nature. But I just want to say publicly, thank you, Bill. There's no way we can replace you because you are an institution here with us. But I want to thank you specifically on behalf of NIU Athletics on all of the things you have done for us over these decades. And you're not going anywhere because we're gonna go through this process, but you're gonna have a little more time to tell us no now in this process. So I want you to come up. I'd like to give a little token of our appreciation. Let's give a round of applause. We thought about giving you a little something here. I need you to put this on. I want to put this on. I'm going to put it over your head, and we're going to go out there and run some laps. How about that? Laps. A little something there. Why don't you get on the side here? Grab a little something here.
I would have fit in this.
Away from the podium, we could do a little
Yeah.
photo.
Okay. Left, right?
I would have fit in this back in 1980.
Let's get a little shot here. Those who want to take it. Come over here and grab that corner there, sir. No problem. Come over here.
Oh, my goodness.
Let's flip it up. Let's flip it up. Flip it up. Put your name. And you're going to get in this jersey. You're going to get in this jersey.
Yeah, well, my wife says I need to lose a few pounds. We can start on that now.
Come up and say a couple words.
Thank you. Thank you.
Put this right underneath you.
All right. I need that.
Do you?
There we go.
I
Yeah.
was going to take your notes.
I made notes. I mean, how long do I have, Donna? Thank you for lunch. Lunch was incredible. Lunch is always incredible. I've enjoyed that. That's how I'm going to lose a little weight, be honest with you, is staying away from these lunches. Sean Frazier, thank you. I've got to admit, I hope everybody recorded this and got a good thing. I couldn't listen to him. I mean, I couldn't do it. I couldn't hear that. I just couldn't do it. And because I'd be wiping my eyes standing up here. Let me do that anyway. First thing, all you folks with the cameras, have you had time to change your lens? Let's get rid of those lenses that add the 10 pounds and put the lenses that lose the 20 pounds on. I'll wait. You know, we got to do that. We just have to do that. That one game. You mentioned that one game. There's a story behind that one game. You know, way back when, what was the year down? We figured, was it 92? I think it was 92. Last game of the football season. There wasn't a bowl hope. I think NIU was 4-6 going in to that last game. And we had a dilemma. We had a basketball tournament that would coincide with this last football game. The football game was in DeKalb. The basketball tournament was elsewhere. Let's just leave it at that. No, it was in Miami. So, you know, we talked, and it was finally determined that the three of us got together, and we said, yeah, you know, it'd be more important to go down, do those 3 games. The season opener at Florida International, it was a tournament. Go ahead and do that, and we'll find somebody to fill in for you for football. As fate would have it, a gentleman contacts Sports Information that very Monday, looking to see if NIU had a spare booth that he could use for an audition tape. He was going after a job. He'd had football experience, but he had nothing that was really current in terms of play-by-play. And we happened to have a booth, and the arrangement was kind of being made that way. And somebody came up with the idea, maybe he could fill in for Bill. And that's exactly what happened. And he did that game. He worked with Mark Lindo, and he brought, I think, 5 or 6 people into the booth, his own assistants, you know, ripping off papers and handing up notes and everything else. And he constantly referred to us as the Northern Illini, which drove everybody crazy. But he got through it. It was a good broadcast. Northern won the game. Anybody know his name? Anybody? It was Jeff Joniak, who is currently the voice of the Chicago Bears, and it was that tape he used to get the job with the Chicago Bears. Never did get me any tickets for that, from what I can recall. But yeah, I mean, just you can go on and on with that thing. I just want to put this into perspective when you talk about it's 43 years. It'll be 44 when I'm done with football. But that, and I don't know if anybody has seen the release. Donna did a magnificent job with that release. And has anybody seen it yet? Okay, well, there's some quotes in there, and maybe some of those things you'll have heard from me. But what people ask me, what do you remember? What's your highlight? You know, come on, 43 years, and players and games and wins and losses. I can't honestly do it. I am scared that I leave somebody out. I know I'd leave somebody out. You cannot do it. You just can't do it. But that first game at Anaheim, it was against Long Beach State in the old Anaheim Stadium, which at that time was configured for 70,000 people because that's where the Rams played, along with the Los Angeles Angels. We were in there, and there were 70,000 seats, 60,000 of which were empty. But the opening kickoff went to NIU, and a gentleman by the name of Mike Pinckney, and I'll never forget it, stepped to the side, he just up and caught the ball. 97 yards later, he had the touchdown. That was my first ever Division I call, a 97-yard kickoff return to put NIU ahead. Northern won the game. The next day, my partner at that time, Pat Carey, and we had a late flight. It was a Friday night. We had a 7 o'clock flight back. We went to Universal Studios to celebrate. It couldn't get any better. I got home, and I thought it just couldn't get any better than that. It did. It got really good. And that's how it began. Now, before I continue, one thing I have learned, I've been behind this podium I don't know how many times. Events like this and coaches gatherings and the Hall of Fame, so many times. The one thing I have learned is always introduce your wife. She is a 1974 graduate, the School of Education, College of Education at Northern Illinois. Karen, kind of just wave. So I've done that. We had an athletic director. It was not Sean. We had an athletic director once, and it was some function. He came to me, took me by the arm, and he said, Bill, whatever you do, make sure I introduce my wife. I took a magic marker and I wrote intro wife and left it right there for him. He didn't do it. Didn't want to be around him for the next week and a half. He was in a bad mood, but not because of me, but because he forgot. But Will, a couple of other people I want you to meet. Broadcasting, what we do is not a one-man show. I mean, you've got so many people behind you. Learfield, for example, behind the scenes at our originating station, the board ops, the producers, the management, the talent that you have to work with there, that you need to be coordinated with, and then the people I travel with, and the people I've traveled with for so many years. Two of them are here. One is Mark Lindo. Mark, wave at somebody. Wave at everybody. What a lot of people don't know, somebody put together a listing of longevity of Division I broadcasters, and this was maybe 6-7 years ago, maybe at East Tennessee State, I'm not sure. But I was on that thing. I was number 10 or number 11, I don't recall, but I was there. And I got to thinking, because Mark began working with me in 1985, and I got to thinking, well, all right, how long have we been together? And this was, a number of years ago. And I went through it, and it was easy. I just had to take the people in front of me, and I researched their media guides to see what the broadcast teams looked like. And every single one of them had broadcast analysts that had begun, with a handful of years. So by far, easily, Mark Lindo and I are the longest tethered broadcast team in Division I football in the country. Thank you, my buddy. Appreciate it. And then just next to him, Andy Garcia, gentleman I've gotten to work with. Was it the last 9 years, I think now, Andy? Something like 9 years? Year 11. Pardon me? Year 11. Well, they say time flies when you're having fun. It does. Andy, thank you so much. Here's a guy that just came to Northern, began working on the sidelines with it, does our women's basketball, does a lot of our video features, the coaches shows down, everything. Andy, thank you. Very, very greatly appreciated. This whole thing began, and I'm not going to take it year by year, folks, but it all began in the spring of 1980 at the IHSA Championships down in Champaign-Urbana at the Assembly Hall. And we always had a long row of radio stations down there. There were 30 of us down there to broadcast those games, just from one end of the floor to the other. We were situated all the way towards the right. And the guy next to me was from WRHL in Rochelle. Jeff Leone, are you here today by chance? Is Jeff here? Yeah, okay. There he is. His name was Jim Feather. And Jim Feather, we'd gotten set up. This was on a Friday morning. And Jim said, let me talk to you for a minute. And we walked down in the tunnel, and he told me that NIU was looking to reincarnate, I guess you might say, the Huskies Sports Network. They had sold the rights to an individual for the past couple of years. They were going to take it back in-house, and they were looking for somebody to become the voice of NIU. And he said, you ought to talk to them. Well, as fate would have it, I knew Bud Nangle, who was sports information director there from my days coming out here with high school games. I knew Jerry Aponte for the same reason. And I did know, I'd shaken hands and talked briefly with Dr. Brigham. Those were the people I had to talk to. And I knew at that second I wanted this job. And that possessed me the rest of that tournament until I could get home on Monday and put a call in, stop by, which is exactly what I do. It was the first part of May. We were at the old Chick Evans Fieldhouse eventually. We stood up, we shook hands, and both of them said, Bill, we are looking for stability and longevity in this radio broadcaster. Can you be it? And I said, yes. And Dr. Brigham kind of threw his head, good. I'm hoping for 20 years. Okay. Dr. B, you got your 20, and you got 4 more as a gratuity there, sir. Thank you so much. Thanks to everybody. There's just too many things. The job is different, but every year it gets better and better because of the excitement, because of the expectations and because of the enthusiasm that comes with a brand new season. Forget this nonsense of 3-9 football-wise last year. There are a couple of reasons for that, and we all know it. And Rocky Lombardi knows it. Trayvon Rudolph knows it. We'd have been a much different team with those two alone, and then a number of other injuries, but that was in the past, and this is fresh. This is fresh excitement. This is fresh enthusiasm, and a whole bunch of expectations, as we heard Thomas Hammock say just a couple of moments ago, and I am looking forward to it. Guys, football guys, Thomas, where are you? Guys, the number is 14. I have 14 games remaining, okay? I have 14 football games. Now, do the math. What does that mean? That means 12 regular season games. That means a bowl game, and what comes in between? That means the MEC championship game. So, guys, 14 is my number, and I would dearly love one last chance to yell goodbye Toledo and have it be there. Trust me. That's pretty much my story. So many games, so many faces, so many places we traveled. We could go on and on and on. I will not do that at this particular point in time. I hope to converse with all of you during the course of the next couple of months. But let me close for today with a couple of quotes from former broadcasters, and I'm going to steal them. And one was the great Marv Albert, who wrote a book, something along the lines of 27 years without a life. And basically the gist of that book was how over his 27-year broadcast career, there's so many events, parties, weddings, even funerals, different events that he couldn't attend. He'd say, geez, I'd love to, but I have a game. And then the last thing I'm stealing from Brent Musburger, who worked for ABC for many, many years, and it's my thanks to NIU, simply saying that for the last 43/44 years, you have given me the best seat in the house. Thank you. We'll see you for football, okay? Not going anywhere. We'll see you for football.